I'm going to show you something new, and I think some of you are going to be pretty excited by this. I certainly am. It's drum fill mode on the vector sequencer. So first I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to assign two drum parts, parts 7 and 8. And I'm going to set up those parts, the routing rather. It's funny when you're doing these things on camera, you mess up the process. Okay, so I'm using my jack expander to send triggers out to my Rossum assimilator, which is the source of most of my drum sounds these days. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's parts 7 and 8, triggers out. Now if I go to part 7, what should happen when I go to the pitch page is I'm in drum mode, which I am, and I can put some stuff in there. It's just something in my head from earlier. And I need some hats, which are on part 8. So I'm just going to go like that. That's the cool one finger across the dashboard. Actually, I got that wrong. It's meant to be that one and that one. And then, okay, so what that is going to sound like, if I go back to sort of part 7, because that's the most interesting bit. Yeah. All right. It's a drum beat. Just saved it. So, fill mode. I'm in part 7 right now. I hit control once, I hit it again. Enable fill is a new thing. Also a new thing is the changed font here to put a little bit more explanation into some of the areas of the vector, which I think is very helpful. I'm not going to talk about mask mode. I'm talking about fill enable right now. Fill enable, you've got options, which is off, and it's per part. So you've got off, and for a drum part, voices 1 to 4, 2 to 4, 3 to 4, or just 4. Why is that? Well, because some of us don't want to have a fill for every voice in a drum part. Some of us want to have the kick stable, but apply fills to the other voices in a part. So if you've got a straight ahead techno beat or something like that, and you want that kick on the 1 and the 5, but you want to be able to do fills on your snare and your clap and your rim shot or whatever else, you go to that voice. You go to that voice. If you want on it everything, you go to 1 to 4, and so on. Neat little thing, okay? I'm going to apply fill enable on voices 2 to 4 here, because I do want my kick to be where I programmed it. Now, when I go to part 8, I'm going to do all of the voices. There are only 2 connected in my current patch setup, a couple of Crucible samples. Great module, by the way, the WMD Crucible. I absolutely adore it. So, what next? Well, this is where it gets really good fun. We go to general page. Because your fill settings are global, that means they're in the general page. So you enable fill per part, and you set it for whatever voices you want per part, but you enable your fill settings globally. It gets quite sophisticated here. We have 8 levels of fill available to us. And what you can do per fill level is program the percentage chance that a note will be added, the percentage chance that a note will be removed, and you've got some other settings here. Length, which will make sense in a minute, and pattern. Now, I'm not going to touch those right now. What I'm going to do instead is hit run. Actually, before I do that, I've programmed in percentages for all 8 positions. Okay. What I've done is from left to right, because it's the white keys you press Q and a white key to enable a fill mode. What I've done is I've started with a small percentage of add and a high percentage of remove. And as I've moved through the 8 settings, I've increased the addition and decreased the remove. Because one thing a drummer will do when they're doing a fill, they don't just add everything and hit everything at the same time. I mean, some do, but you know, often they'll leave something out. That's kind of just as fun. So I love the idea of a fill actually being less playing sometimes. yeah. So what I'm going to do now is hit run with my fast beat, and I'm going to hit Q. Oh, I like that. Now you can hear the kick was constant through all of that, and that's because I left it out of the fill group for part 7. All right, so the kick on its own, I'm just going to my launch pad to say play kick on its own. The kick on its own is, now I'm going to bring the other voices back in, and then I'm going to start playing fills and have a listen. The kick stays stable. All right, so pretty useful, pretty expressive. The other thing that you can do is have a pattern mode. Now, if you can see the screen over here, well, you can, I hope. You got your eyes open, I'm recording it, I upload it, you can see it. That's how it's supposed to work. So you can see there are various patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 will probably not be in the final version. And then there'll be some other modes after 8, but we'll come to that later. Still in development. What this is a visual representation of is your 16-step grid, I believe. It could be the 32-step grid. Have to confirm that. And it kind of says the white columns across 4 voices vertically where a fill command will be applied. So if you think of that downwards being four voices, 4 rows, if you're thinking of an Excel spreadsheet, columns and rows, all of them are being enabled at the same time. That does not mean that every voice will be played in a fill at the same time, though, because remember, we've got these percentages here. So for every voice that's in a fill group, this pattern here, the fill pattern setting, will say whether it then interrogates the add or remove percentages. So this one, for instance, is 1, 2, off, 3, 4, on, 5, 6, off, 7, 8, on, and so on, if I've got the numbers right there. Now, as I said, these ones after 8 are still in development. And I heard a rumor from someone who knows that there'll actually be user programmable fill patterns. So look out for that. Very excited by this development by Jim at 512. Happy to have been a part of informing it, along with a couple of other really great people who will announce once the firmware is released. And look forward to a deep dive running through all of this with you all. I just spoke for 9 minutes about this. I could keep going because it is so much fun. And I'd also sort of challenge anyone to think, I love that word challenge, consider thinking those triggers from your drum part could be triggers to a polyphonic part in your rack, or it could be to a couple of mono voices and things like that. You could be using the drum fill mode to do all kinds of things. And that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching. And there's the shadow of my hand. Yay. Okay, bye.